What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of Insightful Principles. My name is Kevin Jenkins. You are now watching and listening to episode 24. And I'm here with a special guest of mine, David Gibson. And we have a great show outlined for you all. Today, we're going to really just discuss how you can elevate your life and some of the steps that you need to take to be able to get to that point. Now, me and David, we've gotten a chance to connect on Instagram and got a chance to meet him, not personally, but just through Instagram. We got a chance to have a video chat, and just through a mutual friend of ours, Coy Brown, we were able to make that connection. And David, he's doing a lot of great positive work in his industry with just personal development, self-development. He's an entrepreneur as well. He's an author. He's written a great book called Come Alive, where it just talks about overcoming challenges and being able to unlock your highest potential. He also has his own production company, which we'll kind of go into detail more throughout this podcast. And he also has his own community, his mastermind group called Dream Catchers. And it's also a worldwide broadcast that he does weekly. So we're going to detail all of those different entrepreneurial pursuits that he's doing. But I did want to tell you, David, thank you so much for joining the show. How's your day going?
Man, it's a great day to be alive, Kevin. And honestly, man, I consider it a pleasure, man, and an honor to be able to have this conversation with you on your new show. Congratulations, man. You're applying pressure and building momentum and, of course, shining your light. So I'm happy to be here, brother.
Thank you so much, man. It's definitely grateful to have you on here. So can we, it would be great if you could kind of give the world a little background on who David Gibson is and just detailing your journey to entrepreneurship.
In a nutshell, that's a packed question, man. But, that's like a biopic question, so to speak. But in a nutshell, man, I'm really an ordinary individual with an extraordinary vision. And when you start attaching yourself to an extraordinary vision, you can do some extraordinary things. And to kind of sum up my journey up until this point now, I went from being depressed to determined, to being unemployed, to be an international speaker. And it really just started with the vision and a desire for more in life, and then a goal to inspire and empower at least one person per day. And, from there, I took that mission and dedicated my life to it. I committed myself to it. And first and foremost, when I'm committing to adding value to others, then that requires me to add value to myself by growing and developing and improving in many different areas of my life, and then sharing those concepts and those strategies with others. And I've been blessed to be able to inspire people all across the globe through conferences that I speak at, my own events that I throw, my broadcasts. Social media, of course, is a great tool to get a message out there. But in a nutshell, an ordinary individual with an extraordinary vision, and using my voice to impact the lives of others and to demonstrate to them that whatever they come up with up in their mind, a dream, an idea, if you can believe it and your mind can conceive it, then you and yourself can achieve it.
Man, that's really spot on. I definitely think that, we all have a duty to just add value to other people and really speak in life and to other people's just visions. I feel like we all, have our own journey in life, but whenever we can encourage and uplift someone, I think that we all have an obligation to just speak in life into others. And I definitely can see that's what you're doing with your platform and you speaking internationally. Now, talking on what you have done just throughout your entrepreneurship journey, can you kind of speak on the company that you created, Elevation is a Must, and kind of just speak on why you decided to start the company and kind of the vision that you see for Elevation is a Must?
Well, the title of the actual company and my organization, yes, it is Elevation is a Must, but that started as a mindset. When I was in high school and through college, I always would say that phrase to myself just to remind me that, hey, you got to level up. You got to take it to the next level. Every ceiling that you bust through will become the floor to your next level. So you got to continue to elevate your game and whatever it is that you're doing. Because I'm a firm believer that every new level in our life will always require a greater version of who we are. So we have to consistently evolve, grow, and improve. But to answer your question directly, as far as the start of my business and my organization, I was forced into it. back in 2013. In fact, the exact date was October 3rd in 2013. I was laid off from an organization that I worked for about 9 years. And I was in a sales position. And before I was laid off and released, I had this desire to become an entrepreneur, to step out on my own, to create my own reality. But there's this thing that we call fear that often holds us back, right? You know, I came up with a plan, I had the vision, but I was neglecting the action, the execution, because I was afraid of what can go wrong. I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of all of the uncertainties that come with the journey of you creating your own reality. And I'm a man of faith. And I recall me communicating with God, and I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. I came up with my own game plan. And my grandmother used to always say, if you ever want to make God laugh, then tell him your plans. Because essentially I had came up with a plan where I was going to stack up some bread, you know, make sure I was where I needed to be financially. And then I was going to pull the trigger on it. But again, October 3rd of 2013, they called me into the office and they said that we no longer need you. And really, man, to kind of be honest, I had gave my all to this organization. I worked there for 9 years, never used a sick day, a personal day, never took a day off, was really committed to this organization. So when it happened, I was confused, but I understood at the same time. You know, I had a desire for more. I had something that I really wanted to accomplish, but then I felt done wrong. You know what I mean? And I made a vow to myself at that point that I'm no longer going to do things that do not express my heart. Because I realized that in some cases in life, you can be doing everything right, but be in the wrong place. And many times we find ourselves bumping our heads, and we're wondering why we're bumping our heads. It's because you're not in your specific environment. You're not in the place that you were created and called to be. So I came to the understanding that this is what I really wanted to do. And I took that idea and I ran with it. And it's interesting how your grind reaches a new level when your back is up against the wall. In other words, you have no income coming in. You can't pay your bills and handle your responsibility. You got to figure out how you can make this thing work. So I took that in my story and really just boiled it all into my passion for what I was doing to encourage individuals like me to create their own reality. So I'm not just talking something that I've read in a book. It's something that I've experienced. And I believe that came across from a different level as I started connecting with other people. And I was blessed to be able to expand my brand and, of course, get more speaking engagements and then, you know, enhance the brand that I was creating.
Yeah, I think, man, I feel like especially what COVID has presented so many challenges for a lot of people out there. It really shows that no job is secure. And I believe whether you're comfortable, you're happy with the job that you're working, you should always be in the mind frame of building something for yourself. And you were forced into that situation. And it's just great to see that, you know, pressure, it either will make you turn into a diamond or it'll allow you to fold. And you have created, and now you created an opportunity for yourself where you didn't allow it. You allowed it to elevate you to a higher level. And I think that anyone can take, you know, advice from that you should always continue to look at ways of how you can elevate yourself outside of work to be able to prepare for the uncertain, because no job is secure. So I wanted to discuss, you know, I see you have created a mastermind group called Dream Catchers. And it's great to see that you have developed specifically an ecosystem of like-minded individuals that have elevated their life, and you focus on 4 areas, in which is your framework, which is the mindset, personal development, career and finance, and health and wellness. Can you kind of speak on those 4 different areas of growth and why you decided to create this mastermind group?
Well, those 4 different areas are specifically put in place to help assist individuals evolve into greater beings. You know, I'm a firm believer that what we do isn't what's most important. It's about who we become. We're not human doings, we're human beings. And who we become has everything to do with, of course, our mindset, personal development as it relates to the habits that we incorporate into our daily routine, of course, the careers in which we operate in, our finances, and being able to use money as a tool to gain leverage in ways that we can move our missions forward. And of course, health and wellness, because without health and wellness, without you being in shape, so to speak, or just having a successful, healthy pattern, you know, established in your daily routine, then you won't be effective as you're working towards your goals and living out your purpose. So I was very strategic. And of course, my team that I've connected with, we were very strategic about coming up with different topics that we wanted to pinpoint in our mastermind. But it really boils down to, 3 areas that I believe we should focus on to help us level up our life. And that again is our habits, our beliefs. And then number 3 is exposure, because I'm a firm believer that our level of success is often determined by our level of exposure. You can't be it until you first see it. So we focus on the habits, we focus on the belief systems, diving into our fears and insecurities and the stories that we tell ourselves, and come up with strategies and different methods that you can incorporate into your daily routine that will help you move beyond those. And then, of course, exposing them to different environments, exposing them to different opportunities, exposing them to, different people in different fields and expertise that will help enhance what it is that they're doing. I mean, we've got authors and professional speakers. We have mime dancers and artists. We have photographers. We have entrepreneurs that are in our mastermind. So we have many experts that come in that give game and really just advise them in many different areas as they're looking to grow, and providing tools and resources that will assist them in moving their goals forward.
Yeah, I think that it's great that, one person told me that I think exposure is so important. And a lot of times we do forget about that, because I think in order for you to be able to accomplish the vision and the dreams you have for yourself, you have to get in that environment. Yeah. And there's a book by a gentleman, his name is King Coleman. It's called The Proximity Principle, where he really talks about that, how you really have to you have to align yourself with the people that can really put you in a situation where you can accomplish your dreams and your goals. And I think that the habits is so big, because we are the result of everything that we do every day. So I think that you have to create a routine for yourself consistently, where you can have good habits that can lead into allowing you to develop more confidence. And that's where your beliefs and all of that comes in. So I think that those 3 areas is spot on. Now, I wanted to discuss some creative ways of how you scaled your business for individuals out there that are looking to become a speaker, to becoming an author, or even creating their own production company. Can you kind of speak on how you have scaled Elevation is a Must, your organization, and just some ways of how you've been able to develop this, over time, and create multiple streams for yourself?
To answer the question, I'll begin by saying, just begin with the fundamental basis of creating wealth, or, producing something out of nothing. And that's essentially you understanding the value that you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And that in itself will help you expand your life, move things forward as it relates to an idea that you create. It's all about creating and establishing value. You market that value, you create value consistently, and then you continue to up-level that value. So it's a matter of you identifying what gifts and talents and abilities that you have, how you can bring value to the marketplace and do it in ways that others aren't necessarily doing it, creating your own niche, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's where it begins. Of course, you got to do some self-reflecting. You have to explore more about yourself. You have to discover your gifts and your talents, but it's well worth the work. You identifying the value that you create, and then figuring out how essentially you can bring that into someone else's space, bring that into someone else's world. Any transaction that takes place, there's an exchange of value. So we have $1 or $20 bill or $50 bill or $100 bill, whatever value you place on that, there's value that you spend, and then therefore you're receiving some form of value. It may be a meal that you consume, or an experience that you have in a concert. It may be a course that you take. It may be a shoe that you wear. It may be a piece of clothing that you purchase. Whatever the case may be, you see the value, you carry the value in the dollar, you exchange that, and then therefore there's a value transaction. So the same is true as anybody that's looking to create and establish some form of business, whether you're a web designer, a photographer, whether you are a sports marketer, whatever the case may be, you identify the value that you can create in ways that others cannot match, and then you bring that to the marketplace. And therefore, the universe, the world, God himself will make room for those that know what they want and determined to make it happen. And as you consistently add value to yourself, you'll be in a position where you can add value to others. And the more people that you can add value to, the more opportunities you'll have. And then therefore, you'll increase your wealth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it's important to, you know, really add value to the marketplace. And I tell people all the time that, you know, once you are building a business, the more you continue to add value in other ways where your competitors or your peers are not able to do so, that's when you'll allow yourself to really elevate to that stratosphere that you see yourself in. So I think that, you know, Jim Rohn, he talks a lot about it as well. Like, you know, just looking at ways to how you can add value to the marketplace and just creative strategies that a lot of other people are not able to. So I definitely think I agree with that. It's about starting with that fundamental basis and kind of building from there and allowing yourself to create something that you can be able to build for the long term.
Yeah. Let me say this before. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kevin, but I think this is something that I think your listeners can find value in.
Yeah.
One of the most complicated aspects of adding value to other people that are around you is individuals like you and I and everybody that may be tuning into this to first and foremost give themselves permission to be who they are. That in itself is the biggest challenge. Where we think that I need to do it like so-and-so. I need to take the path that this person took. If it doesn't look like their path, and therefore I may be doing something wrong. And a lot of times we spend so much time, not even spend it, but we waste so much time trying to be something that we're not, trying to live someone else's story without embracing who we truly are, without saying yes to our purpose, our calling, and what it is that we really want to do with our lives. So first and foremost, like we talked about beliefs, you've got to overcome that insecurity, that limited belief system, that narrowed way of thinking that causes you to miss out on what makes you amazing, like the magic that you have. So many times I run across many people that have great ideas, great things that they want to do, but they're afraid to be themselves. They're afraid to show up in their authentic state because they feel as if other people may not accept it. Negative opinions and scrutiny may come their way. And at the end of the day, they're going to talk about you if you're doing something great, and they're going to talk about you if you're doing something bad. So you might as well give them something great to talk about. And that's going to require you, first and foremost, again, to give yourself permission to be you. Give yourself permission to make a mistake. Give yourself permission to go after what makes you come alive.
No, I'm glad we're talking about this because I think our viewers, need to know really how to get out of that limited mindset belief system. I really want to talk on for someone out there that is looking at someone else and they're struggling, trying to get out of that limited belief system and become more in an abundance mind frame. What advice can you give for someone to help create some steps where they can kind of get out of that type of system? Because I think we do live in a world, where it's so many people always trying to look to see what the next person is doing. And me and Stephen talked about it last week about really trusting the process. But I think a lot of people sometimes have a hard time trusting their own process because, their beliefs, you know what I'm saying? And I think, I kind of want you to kind of give some advice on a person that's struggling with that limited belief system. How can they get out of that to elevate to more of an abundant mind frame, a growth mindset? How can they make that transition?
To answer it in simplistic terms, I'll simply say believe in possibility. And I know listeners and viewers may be saying, well, okay, what does that mean? Like believe in possibility. Let me break it down by saying this. It's easier to remember our past, to be stuck in our present predicament, or to be stuck in our pain than it is to visualize possibilities. But we have to understand, as long as we remain stuck in the past, we'll never progress towards the future. We'll always remain in the same place. As long as we stay stuck in our current environment, our life will always be the same. In many ways, our thinking is equivalent to our environment. So if my thinking is equivalent to my environment, I'm creating this perpetual cycle of nothing changing, because what I think becomes the words that I speak. How I speak becomes the behavior that I incorporate. My behavior establishes my habits create my outcomes, and my outcomes create the environment in which I live. If my thinking is constantly staying consistent with my environment, I'll never be able to escape that environment. The first step that I have to take is to start thinking bigger than my environment, bigger than my current circumstance. What that does is it disrupts that pattern. And in order to do that, we have to understand it's not who you are that's holding you back. It's who you think you're not. It's not what you know that's stopping you. You know what I mean? Or what you don't know that's stopping you, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Is what you think you know that just isn't true. We've convinced ourselves of these limited belief systems, these narrow ways of thinking, these fears and these doubts that are programmed within us. And this is what's really stopping us from seeing the possibilities, taking a step outside of our comfort zone, doing different things that we've never done before, stepping boldly into uncertainty. But I tell many people, I use this example, okay? So say, for instance, when I was growing up, I don't know about you, Kevin, but the way my grandmother and my parents operated was when I'm cutting up outside, you know what I mean? I'm out in public and I got my clown suit on for that day. And they're like, okay, you got your clown suit on. We're gonna make sure we put you in check, right? My grandmother would always say, boy, I brought you into this world. I'm gonna take you out, right? like I'm the one that created you. I'm gonna take you out. If you acting a fool, if you ain't got your head on right, if you acting crazy and chaotic, I'm going to take you out. And the same is true for our limitations, our fears, and our doubts. You created them, so therefore you can destroy them. You can eradicate them. You can eliminate them from your thought process. Of course, it takes some time, but you can eliminate them. And once you start eliminating the things that often intimidate you, the limited beliefs that hold you back, and the fears that paralyze your progress, that's when you liberate your true potential. So to give them some actionable steps, here's where you begin. You first and foremost look at an area in your life where things seem as if they are not functioning correctly or the way that you would really hope them to, where it seems like you're losing or you're not getting the results that you want. Begin to identify when you start feeling some type of way, when you feel intimidated, when you feel angry or discouraged, when you feel doubtful and fearful. Begin to make note of these thoughts that come through your mind, like literally write them down in your journal. What this does is it makes you aware of what you're thinking. Self-awareness is the first step to being self-empowered. What I do is when I become aware of them, I now remove the power from that limited belief and place the power into my hand. I can now take an objective view at my subjective thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now that I become aware of it, I can challenge it. What happens with so many of us is this, not so many of us, but all of us. The way that fear operates is it happens undetected and unnoticed. So it's sliding into our consciousness without our awareness. That's why we say things like, I can't do this. I'll never be able to experience that. I can't earn that amount of money. I can never create a best-selling book or become a best-selling author. I can never start my own company. These things are literally slipping off of our tongue without our awareness. Once we become aware of them, now we're in control. When I become aware of it again, I challenge it. And I ask myself, where's the truth in this statement? If there's no truth, you have to align your decisions now with the truth that's within you. The truth that's aligned with your vision, your purpose, and your goals, and reframe what it is that you're thinking. We talk about this in our mastermind. You change the narrative in your head. If I can change the narrative in my head, remember, my thoughts create my environment. If I level up my thoughts, I'll level up my environment. So therefore, if I start thinking big, I'm talking big, taking big steps, creating successful habits, those habits create greater outcomes, and therefore I'm creating a greater environment.
Yeah, man, your thoughts really control what happens in your environment, and your thoughts can also lead into your actions and your habits. They all connect in different ways. And I think that like you said, self-awareness is so big. I think that you have to be aware of what you're thinking and journaling it and writing it down and just being aware of everything that you're doing from your habits to your routine is so vital. And I wanted to speak on, I know you have created some ebooks where you have talked about staying positive, staying effective. And I want to look at the other side. And can you kind of talk on what are some ways of how people can stay positive and effective when it comes to just building their vision? I know some of the points that you hit on in your ebook. You talked about how you have to create a vision, you have to create a routine. Can you kind of talk on and elaborate more further into how people can exactly do that when they're trying to, when they, let's say a person, they get out of that limited belief system and now they're thinking abundantly and they have more of a growth mindset? How can they stay positive and effective with their journey when they're trying to accomplish their vision?
Prime yourself for success.
Mm-hmm.
I like to give those simple terms to kind of give us a basis off of where I'm going to go with the conversation. Prime yourself for success. And what I mean by that is protect your energy first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to create some type of daily routine where you're either speaking your goals out loud, reading out your affirmations with conviction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're doing your devotion, whether it's through scripture or you have yoga or you're meditating, you're visualizing. What you want to do is out the gate, when the day begins, you want to experience the emotions that are aligned with your vision, your purpose, and your goals. In other words, be the energy that you want to attract.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, first thing in the morning, what most people do is they're picking up their cell phone, right?
Yeah.
They're scanning through their text messages, reviewing their voicemails, going through their news feeds, reading emails, checking out the news. And we all know, especially right now, I mean, at the time of this recording, it's the day before the election.
Yeah.
Politics is there's polarization here in the States. You've got racism that is being videotaped, and you have just, I mean, all types of turmoil within the world in which we currently live. If you're consuming this first thing in the morning, what this does is it begins to influence your attitude, your mindset. It puts you in a position where you're now reacting to life. There's a difference between reacting and responding, right? If I'm reacting to life, my emotions make my decisions for me. And if I allow fear to make my decisions, then success is not where I'm headed. The difference between reacting and responding is responding means that you place mind over matter, and therefore you make a sound decision that's aligned with where you want to take your life. And the only way that we can respond to life is if we prime ourselves for success. You make up in your mind first thing in the morning, this is what I want to experience. This is what we're going to accomplish. This is where we're going to go. This is the energy that I'm going to tolerate. Anything below that, I'm rejecting it. So therefore, after you prime yourself, I typically, in my mornings, if we had time, we break down my morning routine, but it's maybe a 30-minute, 45-minute session that I'm empowering myself. I'm speaking my affirmations. I'm meditating. I'm visualizing. So therefore, I'm creating that energy. So when negative energy pays me a visit, I don't have to embrace it. I can navigate through it because I put myself in a position to reject the things that I don't want, to embrace the things that I do, and to experience the life that I envision. So to give someone a practical step that they can take is look at your morning routine. Is it setting you up for success? If not, aim to create a routine that puts you in position to be a high achiever, to have a success mindset, and to be focused towards your purpose, your goals, and the dreams that you have in your life. And again, I gave a few examples. Another more examples is exercising. That helps release stress. You know, the diet in which you have, you know, foods that you consume. Many people don't realize that you are what you eat, you know, that has a lot to do with how you feel, as well as, you know, like I mentioned, meditation, visualization, speaking your goals out loud, surrounding yourself with positive people, you know, have an accountability partner. Maybe you guys connect every single morning where you call each other or you text message one another and you see that person's energy through that text, or you hear their voice and they put you in that successful mindset. There's many different things that you can do and get creative to help you stay positive.
I mean, you really speaking life right now. I know the morning routine is so vital. I would say 2017, 2016 is when I really started taking my morning routine so seriously, because people don't understand, you know, how you start your day is how you'll finish. How you start your week is how it will end. And everything that you're speaking on, it talks a lot about, I've read a book and I've mentioned it before on the previous episode, by Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And
Yeah.
one of the habits is being proactive, really taking responsibility, waking up and saying, okay, instead of pulling up my phone to look at social media, I'm going to take some time to read my Bible, to connect with my source, or to read, like you said, go over my goals, to speak them out loud with conviction. A lot of times we may look at our goals, but if you're not speaking conviction, it's not going to turn into a reality. You have to actually believe it. And I'm a big proponent of vision boards. I have a vision board. I look at it every morning. That's my visualization to prime the energy that I'm projecting into the world. And I think, like you said, man, everything that you're speaking on is the law of attraction. You know, be the energy that you would like to see within your life. And once you do that, it's a game changer. And a lot of people really don't realize, you know, really how you prime yourself on an everyday basis. It's just like the food that you eat. The way of the food that you intake on a regular basis is how your outside appearance, your reality is going to look. So, I mean, you really speaking on some powerful things. And I think that how you start your morning is, and even how you end, you know, I think you should look at your goals in the morning and also in the evening. So
Yeah.
I think that, you know, it's very powerful, you know, when you start taking control of your life and you're being proactive instead of reactive. You know, you're responding. You're not just allowing stuff to happen to you, but
Yeah.
you're ahead of the game. So I
Yeah.
think,
And speaking on that, brother, man, like Kevin, that when we're talking about concluding our day,
yeah.
there's an exercise, and I'll share this with your viewers and your listeners. There's an exercise that I do every single evening,
Mhm.
and that's me writing in my journal, and I ask myself 3 questions. If you're taking notes, here they are. Number 1, how did I grow?
Mm.
Number 2, how was I recognized? And number 3, what contribution did I make? If you think about those 3 key questions, all 3 of those are self-esteem boosters. Like, we pride ourselves when we grow in a certain area of our life. When we get recognized, maybe somebody put a smile on their face and they smiled at us. Maybe somebody opened up the door. Maybe somebody gave us a compliment about our shoes, about our hair. When we're recognized, that boosts our self-esteem.
Mhm.
And then giving a contribution, meaning I did something today that put a smile on someone's face. I did something today that really helped someone. I did something today that was kind, that was nice, that was thoughtful. Maybe I gave my significant other some flowers. Maybe I called my boss and told them I really appreciate them. Maybe I spoke with my brother who I haven't spoke with in a long time and said, hey, brother, I love you. You know, these things of contributing, being recognized and growing, when we start placing an emphasis and focusing on those, they help boost our self-esteem. A lot of times, especially when you find yourself in the journey, it can be difficult to see that you're growing. You know what I mean? My
Mhm.
grandmother used to say, you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. Like,
Mhm.
a lot of times when you're creating an image, it looks distorted, it looks ugly, you know, it doesn't have any context, so to speak. And when
Mhm.
you step back, it's like, man, that's a great creation. We've seen videos on Instagram where you see somebody that's spinning a picture around and you're like, man, I don't know what that looks like. But
Mhm.
then when you step back and see the actual masterpiece, it's like, man, that's amazing. And we do that in many cases in our life where we're growing, we're improving, we're developing. We have these small wins, but because we're always looking for those big wins, we feel as if, oh, I'm not making any progress. Oh, I'm still in the same place. No, you're thinking a little better. You know, you've been consistent. You stayed disciplined. Maybe you're working out and you have this routine. You showed up to the gym 2 to 3 times this week, and last week you only did 1. That's
Mhm.
progress. You
Progress.
know, you want to tap yourself on the back and say, hey, man, you've been doing some good work. You're growing, you're improving. This helped boost our self-esteem. And I tell many individuals in life, you will only rise to the level of success that your self-esteem can absorb.
Mhm.
So therefore, you have to boost your self-esteem to make it to new levels.
Mhm. I love that. I'm definitely gonna implement that into my evening routine. I think how did you grow? How were you recognized, and how do you contribute? It really allows you, like you said, to build your self-esteem and to continue to add those small wins, because those small wins will eventually turn into bigger wins. But it's about recognizing the growth and the process and the development throughout. So I love that. Now I wanted to briefly just talk on just marketing. I know you do have a background in marketing, and I
Yeah.
wanted to get some insight on the importance of a marketing strategy as an entrepreneur, and kind of what are some keys of how you've developed your marketing strategy with Elevation is a Must.
It's a complicated question, Kevin. Because the way I get asked on many occasions, what is my social media strategy? What is my marketing strategy? And at the end of the day, let me answer by taking us on this journey. What is marketing?
I mean, I feel like marketing is it's the visual process, or I feel like it's the video or content creating process of how you're promoting your business. If I don't have the book definition, but if I'm trying to summarize it, I feel like it's really how you promote your business and how you're trying to either persuade or inform. You have so many different areas of what it can go into, but I really think it's just a simple promotion of your company or your business.
Yeah. So again, I like to put it in simple terms, and this is my humble definition of what marketing is. Let's make it very simple. Marketing is storytelling.
Yep. That's
it's storytelling.
So
if it's storytelling, then a way that we all can look at how we're marketing ourselves, quote unquote, is to ask ourselves, what's your story? What story are you communicating? What story are you conveying? And then how can I creatively distribute my story? How can I creatively share my story? Through social media, or when I'm on stage, or when I'm connecting with someone at a live event. How can I help other people understand what my story is? Because my story is based upon my experiences, my mindset, and ultimately who I am as a person. So how can I give more of me to the world? How can I share more of me to the world? How can I display that through a video? How can I display that through a post? How can I display that through the content that I create? A lot of times we often overcomplicate it, right? That's why I said, let's keep it very simple. It's storytelling. So simply ask yourself, what is my story? And of course, again, that's going to require us, like we talked about at the top of this conversation, you embracing who you are. You embracing who you are. If you grew up on this side of the track or that side of the track, embrace it. If this was your upbringing, embrace it. If you feel quirky or weird and everybody doesn't necessarily understand you, embrace that. You know what I mean? That's what makes you who you are. Don't spend your entire life running away from who you truly are. Because if I'm running away from who I truly am, I can never be authentic, right? And it's authenticity that connects with others. So therefore, the more authentic you become, the more people that are aligned with your energy you'll connect with. But as long as you are being inauthentic, excuse me, is the word I'm looking for, by aiming to be someone else, to do something that you really are not interested in, or to live a life that really is on line with how you truly live your life, you'll always be inauthentic. And without authenticity, I can't connect. Without connection, I can't build the brand. Be you.
Yep. I mean, I definitely think it's about your story, and people are going to connect with you when they are learning more about you. That's why it's so important that we stressing to be yourself, because when you try to be something other than yourself, a lot of times it's not relatable. You want to create a connection with your audience where they can understand your story, and it's really just the sum of, like what David said, your experiences, your mindset, and who you truly are. So definitely, be yourself. As we're coming
and I'm sorry to interrupt. I felt I need to say this as well. Okay, sorry to interrupt, man. I keep interrupting you, Kevin. Man, nothing personal.
Go right ahead. No problem.
I want to say this, man. For those that are listening and those that are tuning in, one of the most negative beliefs and false beliefs that most people have is to assume that they are not special. There's not something special about them. You may not have climbed Mount Everest. There's something special about you. You may not have an Oscar nor a Grammy, but there's something special about you. You may not be a billionaire. You may not have 1 million followers, but still there's something special about you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that because your life doesn't compare to someone else's, that you're not special. In fact, it's not supposed to compare to someone else's. You're in a category all by yourself. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're uniquely crafted. You've been manufactured with excellence. There's success in your DNA. You have to embrace that. You have to acknowledge that. You have to realize that. Most importantly, you have to live that and be okay with knowing, listen, I'm not Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
I can never be the greatest Kevin, but I can be the most amazing David Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And me embracing who I really am, the skin that I am in, even if other people do not like it nor enjoy it, it doesn't matter. It's like Dr. Seuss said, those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind, excuse me.
Yep. No, you're exactly right, man. I think when you understand that you were uniquely made, your creator, made a specific purpose for you, and no other person can compare to that. So as long as you continue to be who you are and know that you were brought on this earth for a purpose and that you are special, things will definitely change for the better for your life and for your experiences and your environment and everything. So definitely well said, David. I really appreciate that. And as we come to a close, how can our audience connect with you and just learn more about, Elevation is a Must?
To start, you can visit the website. That's elevationisAmust.com. There's free ebooks, quick load downloads, videos, blog posts, articles, a great amount of content that will assist you in growing in many areas of your life. Like you mentioned, we talked about before, we have our mastermind. Our weekly sessions are on Wednesdays. But for more information on that, visit the website and check out the link on the mastermind, as well as our daily broadcast. It's entitled the Dreamcatchers Worldwide Broadcast. We go live on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, as well as YouTube every single morning. That's 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, essentially describing a concept or mindset shift that we can make on that particular morning that will help us start our day with a successful mentality and achieve our goals and our dreams. It's about consistency, staying on track, and pushing and pressing past any resistance that's aiming to stop us from living our best life. And then for social media, I'm pretty much consistent at @1 and then Gibson. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Periscope again, as well as Instagram.
All right, well, thank you so much. Definitely everyone connect with David. You'll be able to, I'll put all his information in the show notes, but definitely join his mastermind community group. Definitely check out his Instagram, Facebook, Periscope. He's definitely having a positive impact with the community. So it's a great environment to be in. As for Insightful Principles, just want to tell you all, please, if you can like, subscribe, and share this video, that would be greatly appreciated. Also on the podcast end, if you all can at least leave a review and share, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm also going to put my link tree in the notes so you all can be able to connect with me on my different social media platforms with Instagram, Facebook, and also the other audio outlets, as well as my Patreon page where I create exclusive content in the areas of finance, investing, and business, where you all are able to engage with me and be able to get additional value. And just want to tell you all, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, David, for joining the show. This was a great one. And I want to tell you all, take care.